As a music lover, I still remember when the Piano Man first opened its doors 10 years ago. Back then, it felt like the city had found a rare gem. Over the years, I've seen this stage come alive with legends like Jojo Mayer and Nerve, Utsav Lal and Aman Mahajan, and so many young artists who've grown here. For us, it's been more than a club. It's been a home for live music and where experimentation thrives. I'm Sonakshi Awasthi with TheFederal, and today, as the Piano Man turns 10, I'm sitting down with its founder Arjun Sagar to look back at this incredible journey. Hi Arjun.
Hi.
Welcome to TheFederal, and congratulations on 10 years.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So, how did the Piano Man start? How was it born?
All right. The Piano Man was born slowly. Essentially, I've spent about a decade in the Indian music scene from when I graduated from school, performing across different club spaces. And there were a lot of gaps in the market relating to the availability of infrastructure, professionalism, timely payments, a lot of very basic things which should be fulfilled very easily. So as that frustration built, then I started thinking about how to sort of bring all these very easy solutions under one roof to build something which stands for music. So that was one parallel thought. And the other thing was how I got into F&B, which was unplanned and unexpected. And once that did happen in 2010, then moving ahead, the eventual merger of what I wanted to do as a sort of system-wide solution for music and musicians, and the fact that I was now in F&B, as a business, was inevitable.
But did it start like a restaurant? Like this was how it germinated?
So let's say when I entered F&B, I actually started a B2B bakery called Cakeaway, which was based in Gurgaon in 2010.
Okay.
And one of the places that we were supplying to, which was in Basant Lok, eventually asked if we wanted to take over and run a venue, run a cafe. And that was actually the first Piano Man, which was 2012. It was called the Piano Man Art Cafe. And then in 2014, we opened another small cafe in Gurgaon called the Piano Man Garden Cafe. And 2015, we realized that, all right, kind of the foundation of what we're trying to do works, but we need to jump in whole hog.
And the first one was where?
The first one was Basant Lok.
Okay.
Yeah. Second one was in Gurgaon, and then we closed these two cafes and opened the Piano Man Jazz Club. So then that was like a all-in. We're not trying to hedge to be a cafe or this or that. We are now a music venue, and this is what we want to do.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, so looking back like 10 years from now, that when you started, what are the moments, like one moment or several moments that stood out?
Oh, the whole point of what we're trying to do is build like extraordinary experiences, right? So we've done 12,000 concerts. So almost, we're just about there. Picking a moment is very hard, but there have been some moments that we even couldn't have imagined that we would have the opportunity to be a part of. For example, Chick Corea's concert in Safdarjung in 2018, or Herbie Hancock last year over here. These are obviously some things which they're kind of like etched into our collective mind, not just me, but all the other people who were fortunate enough to be there to listen, myself included. In 2018, if you went across the country and spoke to people and said, at least the jazz aficionados, that Chick Corea is going to be performing next month in a small club in Delhi, everyone would be like, are you saying, are you mad? Like, there's no chance. But it did happen. So there are several, I mentioned a few, but yeah. Also the jam sessions, how they slowly grew into what they are today, right? In the beginning, I remember when we started the jam sessions, there may have been 2 musicians coming in or 3 musicians coming in. And I had to actually learn to be slightly competent at being able to play drums and bass, because some days we wouldn't have a bass player, some days we wouldn't have a drummer, so then I'd have to try to figure out how to keep the jam session going.
Yeah.
To today, when sometimes there are 20, 25, 30 musicians coming in for a jam session as well, right? So sometimes it's not just about one instance, but to see the growth.
The string of instance, yeah.
Yeah.
So you did mention like this happened in like 2018.
That Chick Corea was 18,
Yes. So in the span of 10 years, COVID also happened.
yeah. Yes.
How did you deal with that?
Oh, I mean, it's a black swan event. There's no
Yeah.
dealing with it. It's a lot of lessons learned to be better prepared in the future for a black swan, because it is something that can very easily destroy a business, and it was something that almost destroyed us. The only way that we got through it last time was through a lot of debt. We had to take on debt to survive, which obviously makes the organization weaker. But for the future, the intent is to build a runway so that the next black swan that comes, and there will be one at some point or the other, right? You can't assume that the world will be perfect suddenly. We are better prepared.
Okay, so how has opening a jazz club like personally shaped you?
So I'm going to answer that in two ways. One is the jazz club, because that's a moniker that we both hold very dear to us, but also we aren't anymore as the larger brand,
Right.
and how it holds dear to me. So the initial intent when we opened Safdarjung was to build a space for jazz. Hence, it's called the Piano Man Jazz
Right.
Club. And in fact, now with the 10-year anniversary, we've reverted our programming significantly back to jazz, because it had sort of started wavering out and expanding over the years. I am a student of jazz. I'm a jazz pianist. I'm a Fulbright music scholar in American contemporary music and composition and performance. And I've been playing jazz, or trying to play jazz, for 2 decades now, right? So yes, of course, I hold it dear to me, both as a musician and a jazzophile, somebody who loves and listens to the music. The Piano Man, like I said, started off with that intent. How do we build a community for jazz, both on the artist side of things and on the listener side of things, right? As we grew and we opened Gurgaon, then the mandate for us, or the intent for us, became, okay, let's expand our repertoire to a wider range of non-commercial Western music. With El Deco opening, the intent has now moved away from genre-based intent to what is it that we're trying to do. And what we're trying to do now is, or I think our mission now is, how do we get more and more people to listen to live music as a part of their lifestyle, right? That's the holy grail, right? Because, okay, you may, for example, enjoy listening to ghazals, and you may be interested in going out to listen to a nice ghazal performance. Once you become a patron of live music and not just ghazals, it's easier for me to say, great, come for this lovely ghazal show, but also, what is something close to that I can invite you for, which may be a little different, and then further, and how do I, rather than, all recommendations and recommendation engines today, like you were listening to any app, and it'll take you down the same funnel of what you're in, right?
Yes.
Our intent is different. It's like, how do we widen that scope? How do we get you to open your palette for music? And that will only happen when we are able to build an audience that wants to listen to live music, not just listen to what they're familiar with.
Right.
So that's why the reason I wanted to put this out there, because of this intent, our programming has evolved a lot. So the Safdarjung still remains to be the Piano Man Jazz Club, and now the programming shifts back significantly to jazz. The other two clubs and future clubs that we open, the intent that we're going in with is, how do we get people to come in to listen to live music, and then start opening their palette, because they enjoy the experience of live music, not just the genre of live music.
Right. How do you think that the Delhi music culture has evolved ever since you opened up? Because with jazz and even classical, like, it's a good blend that you can also make. So how do you think that Delhi has evolved? And Delhi listeners also.
So again, let's look at it from the three parts of the ecosystem. There's the audience, there are the venues, and there are the artists.
Right.
There's been obviously significant evolution in all three of these aspects of the ecosystem. From the venue perspective, 15 years ago, you'd be hard pressed to find 5 or 6 non-commercial Western music shows in a month.
Right.
Or even pop, let's say Western music shows, right? Today, Piano Man alone is programming about 200 a month, right? And then you add on all the other venues that have become active, and there's a lot happening. And that evolution, or that increment, or that exponential increment in shows obviously implies that there are listeners. Otherwise, why would people keep programming? from the artistic perspective, there's been a lot of evolution in the skill set, right? Once you have, there are two core elements of growth for any subculture: education and exposure, right? Education for both patrons and artists, exposure for both patrons and artists. And exposure for artists is often a four-letter word, because many venues will go to artists and say, I'll give you some exposure, and that's extremely unethical and wrong, right? So I mean it in a different sense. Education. Education for artists is the availability to resources to learn something. But it also starts with knowing what's available. And that's where exposure comes in. So, for example, tonight we've got a band from Switzerland, right? With Pro Helvetia, in partnership with them and Get Crash. And they will bring an indie sound from Switzerland to India. People coming in to listen to this, or musicians coming in to listen to this, may not have heard that sound before, because it's something unique.
Right.
We had this band come in from Estonia called Pulloop. I can guarantee you, PWLWP. And I can assure you nobody in this country has heard that sound unless they've heard that band.
Right.
Because the genre of music, they call it zombie folk.
Okay.
It is Estonian folk music done in a way that you can't even imagine. Two 200-year-old instruments called talharpas, two men on stage with loopers. That's it. They had 300 people on their toes. Like, unreal.
Wow.
That also becomes, that's actually, I'll talk about that as an a memory. So what happened over there is that you had exposure for both artists and audiences.
Right.
Here is a new form of music that you haven't heard. Right? New for us because we haven't heard it.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to interact with it. Once you have the opportunity to interact with it as an artist, you have the subjective decision to make on whether you like that sound and you want to incorporate it into your sound.
Right.
At the very least, it adds to your knowledge of what's available out there as a tool set. And for an audience, if you have no exposure to a certain kind of music, how do you make a subjective decision on whether you like it or not?
Right.
It doesn't exist for all intents and purposes, right? And that's what I believe is the purpose of a venue.
Right.
That's one of the most critical parts of the venue, right? And then it comes to education. Once you know, oh, I like that sound.
Yeah.
As a artist, then you need to figure out, how do I learn that sound? How do I learn to produce that sound?
Yeah.
And today, of course, physical resources in terms of schools and all in India are still limited. There's a lot of scope for better music education in India. There are phenomenal schools available, but 5 schools, 1 billion people.
True.
I mean, 5 is just a random number.
It doesn't start
but,
like in the primary school any which way. That's very
that's a different
basic.
conversation altogether, right? That's a much larger conversation. And then so for artists, right? But fortunately, at least you have an incredible like the internet has made the world small, right? So you've got this incredible availability of, or a repository of resources, both in terms of listening to the music and learning the music, available online. So at least something is there, which wasn't there 20 years ago. And for audiences, that exposure function has happened. Now the education is, subjectively, you make a decision, that sound was interesting.
Right.
I like it. You will then make the effort to figure out what that was.
Right.
And you will educate yourself on that music. And that's what is important, because rather than spoon feeding you constantly, if you're making the effort, you're buying into that genre, you're buying into that music, and by buying in at a physical effort level, changes the game, right? That's what we want, and that's what will help then that genre grow.
Yeah, I mean, you basically like opening the music palette for everybody.
That is the purpose of a venue.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how do you like, so this, obviously you have in your club coming like music lovers also, non-music lovers also. What do you do when you will not figure out who are the non-music lovers, but what do you have in mind when you have somebody playing and you also think that if non-music lovers come in, they should get hooked?
No, but here's the thing. There is a large number of people coming in who are just, we heard a piano man, let's go, right? And my point is exactly that. Like, once you come into a place which is designed to give you a good experience with live music, we are stacking the odds in the favor of live music. That's our job.
Right.
And after that, you have to make a subjective decision. You could come in and say, hey, I don't like this. Maybe I don't like the music, maybe I don't like the experience, maybe I don't want to listen to live music. That's your choice. Our job is to try to create the best possible environment for you to say, wow, I want to come back.
So have you noticed like there's a shift in public's music taste in Delhi, particularly?
Constantly.
Yeah.
It's an ever-evolving thing. It's related to exposure. You get the opportunity to listen to new things, you'll absorb them.
So would you say like back then when you started, so the audience was like there was one amount that was coming in,
So even now,
one number that was coming in, now there's like a huge
I
number
mean,
that's coming in.
our capacity has gone from 40 seats to 500 seats
Right.
in 10 years.
That's telling.
I mean, yeah.
That's telling. Nice. All right. So what are your dreams for Piano Man next
Ooh.
10 years?
That is interesting.
Yeah.
We're actually in the middle of trying to figure out the next 5 and then the following 5 years. Very obviously, what would make sense is sort of expanding to other cities in the
Right.
country. So we were trying to figure out how and when and the modalities of that. We've also we started building a software for our own use 2 years ago, and what's turned out is something amazing. It's a phenomenal management software for venues, along with like these incredible sort of toolkits for artists, etc. So we're just fine tuning that, and that is something that we'll take out for the market, hopefully in the next year.
Okay. So if someone wants to like experience jazz for the first time, how should they start off?
Come to the club. I mean, the best way to experience music is to sit and listen to it.
Right. Any starter nights?
Our calendars are color coded.
Okay.
So if you look at the calendar, you'll see colors,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
our regulars know what those colors
Yeah.
are. Like purple is jazz.
Right.
Right. Purple is my wife's favorite color.
Okay.
So I was like, let's combine my favorite genre and her favorite color and make that jazz. So if you look at any of our calendars and you see purple, that's jazz.
All right.
Close your eyes and come for it if you want to experience jazz. The musicality of jazz musicians in Delhi is phenomenal. They're like 19 years. In fact, next on 2nd October, it's a dry day. In Safdarjung, we have a young kid named Pranay Verma playing Brazilian guitar, sitting down with a classical guitar. If you shut your eyes and you listen to him, you will be teleported to Brazil. He is unbelievable, and he's not the only one. Yeah.
So
We're fortunate. Like this country has incredible musicians.
That brings me to another question. How do you source these kind of artists?
It's not sourcing. It's not. Yeah. This is human capital.
Right.
People are working hard to develop their skill sets. We are a part of that development in one specific way, which is that every time they get on our stage, you get a snapshot of their development at that point of time.
Right.
Right?
Right.
When I get on to perform, I will perform to the best of my ability today, which is different from my ability tomorrow and the day after that.
Right.
So we create these snapshots of, I like to look at it that way, right? It's Polaroids of what is happening on the Indian music scene on a daily basis.
Right.
So a lot of like Pranay started coming to the jam sessions in Safdarjung many years ago.
Okay.
Many years, but he's 19 now, so like a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And if you listen to, and he's already become like a very in-demand guitar player because he's amazing.
Right.
Aditya Bhargutala is one of my favorite stories. His mom used to bring him for jam sessions from when we started 10 years ago, when he was 13 years old. Today he's 23. And he is one of the most in-demand drummers in the country.
Nice.
So because of what we are as a venue, we have the opportunity to interact with a fairly large cross-section of the artists in the city. As we go to other cities, we'll have that opportunity in other cities as well.
Right.
That's one part of how we interact with musicians. The other part is once you are a venue, then there's a constant dialogue running, like people are writing to us, we're reaching out to people. It's a continuous process. So there's a team handling that, and it goes on and on and on and on, like it's a daily activity.
After 10 years, the Piano Man is not just a jazz club. It's a space where music connects people and surprises happen on stage. And every night feels alive. Talking to Arjun today, it's clear that the journey is far from over. The next chapter promises new sounds, new artists, and more unforgettable nights for everyone who walks through these doors. I'm Sonakshi Awasthi, and if you love discovering music and hidden gems in Delhi, don't forget to follow, like, and share. And maybe even plan your next night out at the Piano Man. See you at the next gig.